It turned yellow there. It did the human move to tap the brakes and then commit. And here's the hesitation again to get into the turning lane. And let's see what it does here. It doesn't appear to have any stop signs, no yield signs. There is a car that just pulled up. Okay. That was a little bit harsh on the brakes, and it will cross, and it's nudging me a lot. So this happens a lot. For some reason, it does not get on this left lane. So we're going to go ahead and take over, put it in the left lane, and re-engage. Oh, let's see here. And it'll drive right over it. Nice. That is, trust me, guys, that is much better than swerving across the road, slamming on the brakes. How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be showing you guys my first impressions on full self-driving. I've had the car for about 2 weeks now, and I just wanted to give everyone my first thoughts on the technology, a little bit about the car, but this will mostly be about the full self-driving. It is still supervised. I do not have the hands-free new version that they just recently released, 12.4. I am currently on 12.3.6. And this is just going to be my basic first impressions on the technology. Every Tesla is equipped with FSD, and you'd basically just have to unlock it. Any new Tesla that comes off the lot will include 1 month free. You can subscribe to it and pay $99 a month, or you can buy it outright. The current price sits at $8,000. I personally think that this technology will be more valuable than standard cars. So I'm truly excited personally about this. So I just wanted to lay out my bias. This is a fascinating technology that I personally am very interested and intrigued about. But I will try to give as honest of first impressions and feedback as possible. And we're just going to be trying it on this new 2024 Model 3 Performance. I've been using full self-driving about 90% of the time. Today we got a 3-hour trip, and I'm planning on doing 95% full self-driving, if not more. I personally turned it on because I'm just fascinated by the technology and just what it's capable of doing. And I'm so interested to see, oh, what is it gonna do here? Oh, there's a car stop there. Which action is it gonna take? One thing worth noting is that even if you don't have FSD enabled, the car, I believe, is running simulations of what it would do if it were driving. So it's always learning. It's basically learned on human driving, the best of human driving, hopefully. And some of that shows, and it's very interesting that they're removing codes. It does just follow the traffic laws better than humans would, and it pays attention more than a human could. And I truly believe that it'd be silly to think that one day in about 5 to 10 years that any human will be driving better than a computer. I think it's pretty inevitable that AI will soon be much better drivers than humans are. There is an argument that they are already better drivers. Tesla released statistics on this, that the average human driver on a regular car is about 700,000 miles per accident. And in the Tesla, it's about 7 million miles per accident. And I believe that's just with basic autopilot technology, not even with the full self-driving technology. So just in general, Teslas are much safer. And I think AIs, as everyone knows, computers will eventually make less mistakes than humans. So I'm truly excited about this video, and I'm just gonna give you my open and honest, raw feedback on full self-driving and how it's been. Let me know what you guys want to see next. We will be filming 0 to 60 times. We'll try a quarter mile. We're gonna be making a video on the PPF. So give me more ideas below, and we'll think about making those videos. And if you can please take a second, drop a subscribe. Right now, we're just getting started, but only about 3% of our viewers are subscribed. So if you want to help us out, please drop a subscribe, leave a comment, and leave a like. Let us know what you want to see next video, and we'll make it happen. All right, so let's get into this video. We're going to go in the car. We're taking it to the charger. I haven't set up the home charging yet. My dad's a former retired electrician, so he'll be setting up home charging for me, which will be much more convenient. It's almost like having a gas station at your house. So it becomes more convenient than gas. in some cases, especially my case. I won't be commuting much. I plug the car in when I get home. By the time I'm ready to leave, it's fully charged. So let's go ahead and get into this video, share our open and honest thoughts about FSD and Tesla's full self-driving technology. Let's go. All right, guys, we're going to be doing its FSD test. So it's taking us to the supercharger location, and it's going to be from point A to point B. And we got about a 28-minute drive to the supercharger. It turned yellow there. It did the human move to tap the brakes and then commit. So that's very good to see. It won't just slam on the brakes. It's very nice because that is arguably the safer route to take, is to commit through the yellow. The draggy is on and it's tracking our mile and everything. So I'm gonna need to close that app. Once we get over to the stop sign up there, I'll turn it off. The technology that mirrors your eyesight is up here. There's a camera up there. As you see, it just nudged me because it noticed that my attention was distracted. So there's a camera monitoring me, and it seems to be very much more lenient at red lights, maybe even stop signs. So if you need to change the music or control your climate control, then wait until you get to a red light, and it is more lenient. You could basically stare at the screen until the light turns green, of course. And one thing I like, that even if it's not on full self-driving, when the light turns green and you're not paying attention, it'll actually chime. There will be a chime sound at you. So that's very nice. It's an indicator that the light is green. This is our first full self-driving video, so if you guys want to see more, if you like these videos, I'll continue to do more. Just let me know in the comments below. As I mentioned, we do have that draggy. I do need to close the app. I'm going to charge the car and then I'll take some videos. Let's go ahead and close that draggy app. So it did that intersection perfectly. As you see, it doesn't even wait for the cars to completely go or cross the intersection before it starts going. This is very human-like. It's not very robotic at all, which is much more comfortable for the driver or for the passenger. It's kind of awkward if it doesn't move until the intersection is completely clear. It's not very realistic. And I do not have the version 12.4, so this is why I still have to touch the steering wheel. But soon, when the more general public gets access to the version 12.4, that'll be when the steering wheel nag is taken away, and it'll only monitor your eyesight. So you will still get the nag, but all you have to do to fix the nag is look at the street or look at the road, and the nag should go away. And I've noticed from watching other countless full self-driving videos that it actually, even if you are paying attention to the road, it'll still nag you. I'm referring to 12.4. The 12.4 will still nag you to pay attention to the road, even though you are, once it sees a situation where it's not 100% comfortable with. So if there's cones everywhere, then even if you are looking at the road, it'll still nag you in order to, I guess, increase your attention. Not sure how effective that is because the nag is kind of distracting. But it is a way to ensure that you are paying attention when it's not as confident. So it's a green arrow to turn right. So it didn't even stop there. It has very good vision and very smooth. I have it on assertive mode, so hopefully it doesn't change too many lanes, and we'll just keep an eye on that. I've seen videos, a lot of videos mentioning, I know AI Driver makes the best videos in my opinion, and he's very honest and open, and he showed 12.4, and the main complaint is it's so eager and excited about changing lanes that it does it whenever there's a lane open. So as you see here, it's staying in this lane and it's totally fine with it. So I know that's something that they will fix with the future updates. It's just refreshing to see them regress in some ways. It may be concerning to others, but I get inspired by it because it truly shows that these are new models. So these are newly trained AI models that are almost completely different from the previous one. So 12.4 is a completely different model, not in all ways, obviously, but you can tell because it regresses in some ways, and it's very interesting to see because you think that it would only improve in all ways, but that's not necessarily the case when you are dealing with different models and making, noticeable changes. So I have it on auto max. I can't increase the speed limit, and I've noticed for me it drives too close to the speed limit, which is fine, but the speed limit here is 40. I think because it sees that it's basically a residential, it's not comfortable with going much higher over the speed limit. There's a cop there to the left, so maybe that's a good thing. And I just glance over to the screen and it nags me to put my hand on the steering wheel. So when I first got the car, I think it had to get used to me because it didn't trust me as much. Let's see here. You see this hesitation? That happens often. It does hesitate to get into the turning lane. Obviously, that's something they can fix, but it is worth noting the hesitation. So I'd like to touch on my So I'd like to touch on the first impressions of the full self-driving, and it is higher than my expectations. So I so I'm on X a lot, and there's a very negative outlook, or the algorithm feeds me negative content on Tesla, full self-driving, Elon Musk, and I enjoy reading it because I don't like to be an echo chamber, so I like to get different perspective. There's people like Dan O'Dald or whatever his name is, and he campaigns on getting this technology banned. So he has nothing more to do than to dedicate all of his resources and time to try to convince the government basically that this technology should be banned, even though the data he wants 10x safer. Right now it's currently about 5x. There's an argument for that, but 10x would satisfy him, and it's clear we are headed in that direction. But I guess some people just don't have the foresight to see right ahead of them and see that technology progresses exponentially, especially AI. And of course, the computer will be a better driver than a human. Of course, it will. I mean, it would be ridiculous to assume that humans will be better at any trivial task in the near future, right? Right now, there's an argument that the full self-driving is not as good or better than certain humans. I think it's better than most humans. It's safer, it's more considerate, it's more cautious, and it follows the rules better than humans. But obviously, it's not finished yet. It's still progressing. But if you zoom out and you look at 5 years from now, I think it'd be ridiculous to assume that humans will be able to do driving better than a computer AI. So I think that is where we're heading. And my first impression, so I had lower expectations. I was assuming that I'd have to intervene. I am ready to intervene at any point, but I was assuming there would be more interventions, and I was totally okay with that. In fact, I was expecting it. But that doesn't seem to be the case in my experience. And I believe that this is true because of where I drive. So I'm based in Southwest Florida, and I'm going across Florida to about East Florida, I guess, South Florida. And the roads here in Florida, I come from New York, and I know for a fact that full self-driving would have a more difficult time in New York. But in Florida, the lanes are painted. Everything is straight, as you will see from this video. There's a lot of straight roads. The signs are pretty well done. So overall, it's an easier time for the full self-driving AI to handle. If you look at videos in California or New York, there's more obstacles, there's more stress on the AI, on the full self-driving. So that is something you should keep in mind, and just next time you take a drive, just see how simple it is. You see this straight road. I'm driving 3 hours today, and 95% of it would just be the car going straight. So that's obviously why I don't have many interventions, and why I apologize. This may not be the best full self-driving video because of that. But it just goes to show that, you know, this technology is ready for the vast majority of people. If you live outside of a major city, then you can do probably about 95-99% of your rides in full self-driving. I plan to do 99, if not 100% of my trip today in full self-driving, and I'm not stressed about it at all. If anything, I'm way more comfortable. It slows down. I think it sees that chair. It does see that chair, and it did seem to react a little bit. And look here, this is an interesting scenario right here. It gives extra space because this guy has his blinker and was indicating that he was going into our lane. So it allowed extra space for that. Situation is cleared, so now it's getting back up to speed. I haven't had any real safety intervention, and I have about 800 miles driven in full self-driving. Almost all of the miles on this car have been in full self-driving, just because I am infatuated with the technology, with the car in general, and I'm just amazed every time I take it out how well it handles normal driving. It's truly amazing. So the main things to worry about with full self-driving is the lane changes, which I haven't had to deal with. Sometimes it's unnecessary. Sometimes it's optimistic, as far as if there's someone in the left lane coming behind me, even if they're not speeding too much or going too fast, I genuinely wait for them to go past me before I get into the left lane. But technically, you could just get into the left lane and match the speed, which full self-driving does well, but it's just a bit uncomfortable in order to do that. I personally rather let the car go in front of me, but that's might be on me because I could set it to chill mode, I believe, in the full self-driving settings. I have it on assertive just because. Another thing is the reason I have it on assertive. So when it's at stop signs, it's extremely cautious. Even if there's no cars around, it will stop completely. It will roll, stop again, make sure, triple check, and then proceed with caution. And this is at an intersection with no one there. So it does get a little bit annoying, but better safe than sorry. And the way a lot of people like to frame it is, it's annoying when you're in the driver's seat and you are looking at their perspective as, oh, I would have went already. Oh, why isn't it going? But if you imagine yourself as a passenger or in an Uber, you wouldn't even pay attention to the intersection, right? So you wouldn't even notice. It wouldn't even be something that comes to mind in most cases if it took a little bit, a couple seconds longer than what you expected it to. So if you view it from the lens as a passenger, like right now, just that lane change. As a driver, I wouldn't have changed. You know, you might say I wouldn't have changed lanes. Why is it changing lanes there? But as a passenger, you wouldn't even give it a second thought, right? It's just, oh, maybe he saw something I didn't, and you just take it as is. So it's a much better technology and experience when you view it from a passenger lens. So that is an interesting thing to note that I'd had to let go of from being in a driver seat. And right now we're going, and you see here, look at this. It's just way more courteous than any other driver. Look at the car in front. Look at that minivan. You see how it hesitated at stop? The Tesla wouldn't even think twice. And it didn't. It completely stopped with more than enough time to let that guy cross through 3 lanes to get into the gas station. And we're about 13 minutes away, so this should be... I'm considering making this a full-length video just to really show just point A to point B, complete full self-driving, hands-free basically. I've had to touch the wheels only a few times, most of them being my fault because I keep looking at the screen or checking the camera to make sure the recording is good. So the most concerning things, like I said, or not even concerning, the most, I guess, the most important things that I'm looking forward to being fixed and updated is the stop sign, cautious, you know, being too cautious at stop signs when there are no cars present. If there are cars present, and even especially pedestrians, then I completely understand it being extra cautious. But when it can tell that there are no cars present, no pedestrians present, then I believe that it should be just more assertive, especially on assertive mode. And I believe it will be, actually. I know this fix is coming on getting off the stop sign and rolling it off and just proceeding more confidently. The second thing that many people mention is the lane changes and lane swerving. So in my experience, I don't know if you guys could tell, it's staying in the middle of the road. It's not going back and forth. It's very, you know, straight as an arrow and very, very smooth. I wouldn't even notice. So lane changing as well, in my experience, it's been great. But as far as my first impressions is amazed and excited, I would say, because when I experienced this, it's a glimpse as to what's possible in transportation. Transportation hasn't been revolutionized in quite some time, and I feel like this will disrupt a very big part of the economy, and this will just free up time. I could be working on my laptop right now in a year or two. So the amount of time that will be freed up, and not to mention the car working Uber or cyber taxi or cyber cab or robo taxi, whatever you want to call it, these cars will be driving themselves and will be completing rides. And as a Tesla car owner, you can put your car into the fleet of the, let's call it Uber fleet. Right now, your car sits at home, most likely. 90% of the time, it's not in use. You use your car about a few hours a week, and it could be used for, you know, over 40 hours a week. So look at all of these cars on the road, and most people have more cars sitting in their driveway. This entire industry will be flipped on its head once cars no longer are a liability, or Teslas no longer can be seen as a liability, but rather as a revenue producing asset. So this will truly unlock it and give power to the people to make passive income in a true way, and have ownership over your own car. And I assume that Tesla will assume responsibility in case of any incident or accident because it will be driving itself. I believe that once there is no longer a driver involved, then Tesla should assume and will assume full responsibility of its actions. So you as the owner, I believe the number will be 75% of revenue will be given to you and 25% will be given to Tesla. And this will awaken millions of cars and increase the productivity of so many cars that just sit on the lot or sit in your driveway all day. You can send it to pick up a friend at an airport. You can take it to the window tint shop. If you don't have time, you could just send it there and the installers can put on tint and you could send the car back. It's truly mind-blowing when you really start to think about it. And when I experience this technology, that's all I see. It's an obvious turn of events. Oh, let's see here. And it'll drive right over it. Nice. That is, trust me, guys, that is much better than swerving across the road, slamming on the brakes. So I'm truly impressed that it just decided to run over that piece of cardboard. And that's what I would have wanted it to do. I don't want it to try to avoid it. I wouldn't have personally tried to avoid it. It gets dangerous quick when you yank the wheel like that. So that was very well done. And when people think that I speak to some people and they're like, oh, my parents will never accept this. They won't trust it. And then at the same time, a lot of people's parents and grandparents can't drive at night, right? They have bad vision. They feel uncomfortable, and they have every right to be. They should be cautious, and they should feel comfortable. And I think that this technology allows for that, allows for the car to drive for you at night or to assist you in driving at night. And there are statistics on it. It is safer already than human drivers. And when you look at all of the data, it is safer in general, and it will continue to progress. And I think that the older generations didn't approve of any disruptive technology, right? When everyone started having their phones and tablets, the grandparents were like, oh no, I'll never use that thing, or I don't know how to use that thing. Now they're on Facebook more than me, right? They're on Facebook all the time. They know how to use the phone. They can't live without the phone. And it's an amazing technology that now not only have they accepted, they are a huge demographic of the, of certain applications like Facebook and such things. So I think that this will be widely accepted, and this is just for safety, right? And when we start talking about cost effectiveness, the average cost per mile comparing to Uber will be exponentially cheaper to call a taxi or a Tesla Cybercab. It will be exponentially cheaper than to have a human. Imagine that, a human driving you. It will be looked as folklore. I truly believe that in a not so distant future, which I am not a proponent of, I'm more of a, I believe in freedom, in personal freedom. So I think that we should have the right to drive our own cars if we want. But I truly believe, under the guise of safety, that driving may be outlawed on public roads, right? That'll be reserved for private roads only because humans are dangerous, right? That's like operating your own train or your own horse and buggy. And I think full self-driving will decrease those numbers exponentially. So it will be much safer, and arguably it will be illegal for humans to drive on public roads. That's not what I'm rooting for, but they will have a strong claim, a strong case to make it illegal for humans to drive, just because of how dangerous human driving can really be. So as we pull up here, this is a construction zone with a bunch of cones. So right now we're going 36. And I believe that as soon as it starts realizing that there's cones around, it starts driving a bit safer. And maybe that nudge, I might have glanced over at the screen, but maybe that nudge is for me to pay extra attention because of the cones, the construction workers, and so on. And here's the hesitation again to get into the turning lane. And let's see what it does here. It doesn't appear to have any stop signs, no yield signs. But there is a car that just pulled up. Okay. That was a little bit harsh on the brakes, but we do have our own lane. It crossed a solid line because we do need to get over to the left lane. So that is honestly good to see that it isn't so strict on the laws, and it will cross, and it's nudging me a lot. So this happens a lot. For some reason, it does not get on this left lane. So we're going to go ahead and take over, put it in the left lane, and re-engage. So this is the entrance to the Tesla supercharger. This is the entrance to the Tesla supercharger. And that is not the first time that it has not gotten in that lane. So this is very interesting. I wonder if it's map data. It seems like that map data is correct. So I wonder where it goes wrong on specific turns. So that is a form of disengagement. That was not a safety disengagement. I just want to make it clear I'm not hitting the gas here. It does see a gap and it's going to go for it, which is very good to see. I didn't hit the gas at all, and even though it's not a green left arrow, it'll still make that turn. So overall, I'm very impressed. We did have one disengagement. That was not critical in my book because technically it would have just rerouted. If it missed that turn, we would have just rerouted and, gone from a different entrance. But I'm kind of in a time crunch here, so I just disengaged it for my comfort and, time. So this is an interesting scenario here. So it piled up and it's actually gonna go. So it does like the follow the leader. Right now it's going very slow because of just how many cars are here. But it handled that well. It does like to follow the leader. It assumes that because they went, then we should go too. And we have made it here without any safety disengagements. I would say 99% there. And let's just show you guys the auto park. And I'm going to just stop here all crooked and it's going to auto park it. So car driving in front does not matter. It does not even react to it. It just continues on. So one thing that Tesla needs to fix, all right, there is a car going in front and it does stop for her, of course. Tesla needs to paint these parking spots Much better, because it is not good at all. The computer could barely see it. Oh, so that's very good. It went past the thing because for the charger to reach. And there we go. We're here. I could open up the charge port and quickly plug it in before we head over to our long trip. All right, guys, thank you for watching our first full self-driving video. My overall thoughts are that it's almost there, almost ready for me not to be in the driver's seat. It could have handled it completely. It would have missed one turn and then rerouted and made it here anyway. But it's exciting that we're not there yet, right? This is why it's a good time to invest now, or it's good to be early. It's no point in being a proponent of this technology of robo-taxis if it's already happening, right? It's exciting to be early, and it's exciting to see this technology progress. So that's why I am so excited about even seeing where it could go better or where it did go wrong. It's just exciting to be able to experience that, right? Because we're so used to perfection, and it's interesting to see right in front of your eyes a technology learn and increase and get better. In the not so distant future, I think that the technology should be worth more than the car itself. It's basically a 24/7 chauffeur. So how much would you pay for that, right? If it could drive you anywhere and everywhere, basically. I think it's well worth the $100 a month. And the interesting thing about this is that even if your car does, or if you're driving and you do not enable full self-driving, the computer and the AI is running simulations of itself self-driving and basically simulating what it would do, right? So what would it do in this scenario? Even though you're driving, it's still learning and teaching itself, comparing it to what you do and what it would do. So it's an incredible technology, and it is actually the largest AI project in the world. So soon millions of cars will wake up and start driving itself, and it'll be here before people realize. And I'm excited to be able to witness this transformative moment in the auto industry and the transportation industry. So Airbnb was a bad idea for hotels, right? Uber was a horrible idea for taxis. But as we know, the good product always wins. So if you make a good product and the price is competitive, it will work. You build it and it will work. And that's what the main difference is. People care about the pricing, right? People will take a more inconvenient option at times to save a few dollars. So this will be even more enticing because it would be arguably more convenient option, and it'll be substantially cheaper. So the cost per mile in an electric car is already more efficient than gas cars, but the cost per mile in a self-driving car is exponentially more cost effective than a human driven car. So when you compare it to cost per mile from comparing an Uber to comparing a full self-driving driverless car, the cost difference is exponential, and it will be the future of transportation, and it'll awaken and put to use countless cars that are just sitting here. So it will awaken cars and actually make cars become an asset and not a liability. And this is truly an exciting time to be around and witness. So if you guys want to experience this journey and this project with us along the way, then please subscribe to the channel. That'll be greatly appreciated. We will make more full self-driving videos if you guys liked it. We're going to do 0 to 60, quarter mile, PPF videos, all types of videos. So if you want, subscribe, and please do follow us on Instagram at King of Carbon Fiber. If you want to just follow this car, follow at Carbon M3P.